All right, now we're returning to the speech that the Rebbe gave in 1992 about Parshat Noach, the idea of Noach. And if you remember, the Rebbe said that this week is the second week of the year, the solar year. We started reading the Torah from the beginning, and Simchat Torah. That was like 2 weeks ago. And we read the whole Torah portion, which is called Breshit. Breshit talks about what God did. God created the world, and he put man in it and how man reacted. Mainly it's talking about what God did. Then after that, and then man gets evicted from Gan Eden, and the world is in a pretty bad shape until comes along Noah. Noah's like 1,600 years after the world was created. And the world got to its lowest point, and God made a flood. He destroyed the whole world, all mankind, except for Noah and his children. And this week's Torah portion is talking about how Noah made a new world. It's not Noah, it's Noach. So we're going to call him Noach. So the Rebbe says, what do we learn from this? We learn from this that Noach was a person that served God. He served God, and it says that he motza chen b'nei Hashem, that he found favor in God's eyes, that God got pleasure from Noah. So it means that Noah was able to bring into the world from, in a way, the essence of God. Not to the same degree as Abraham did. Next week, we're going to learn about Abraham. Abraham had what we call self-sacrifice, to do good. Noah had self-sacrifice to turn from bad. Therefore, the 7 Noahide commandments are, at least the 7 Noahide commandments are prohibitions. Don't worship idols, don't kill, don't steal, don't be licentious, don't. Because the main thing of Noah was that he was able to defy the world, even though the world was such a low level that they all deserved, at least before the flood, they deserved to be destroyed, and they were destroyed. Okay, so says the Rebbe that the whole world was destroyed by a flood, is there's also a good aspect of a flood. There's a good flood. Says the Rebbe, that comes to teach us a thing about how to fill the world with a good flood. What's the good flood? Shekol mitziuto. Oh, it says, the Inyan said this is especially in Shabbat. We read this on Shabbat. Shabbat is the letters tashav, to return. The Shabbat was given uniquely to the Jewish people. And the Torah was also given uniquely to the Jewish people. But this story about Noah appears here to tell us that it's possible and mandatory for the whole world to return, connect itself to the truth, to God. Tshuva, that's called tshuva. The tshuva of Shabbat, the whole idea of this day of Shabbat is tshuva ilah, what's called the upper tshuva. Shehu b'simcha rabbah. Tshuva means, in English, it's translated as repentance, but it's not repentance. Repentance means turning from bad. There's a type of tshuva, which means you want to do more and more good. You want to come closer and closer to the truth. And this is done with great joy because you want to increase in your true identity, and you want to call it, come closer to the one who's giving you this gift, this amazing gift, which is called life and talent and abilities. We're not dealing with turning from bad or fixing up things that are negative. That's what's called the lower tshuva. It's before the day of Shabbat, but this is a way of hitalut, elevating oneself to a higher level by means of working and learning the Torah. That's especially why God gave the Torah to the Jewish people, that when you learn the Torah, you become immersed in the Torah, and the Torah also becomes inside of you. Right? The ideas of the Torah, they grab you. This is explained in the 5th chapter of the Tanya. And you also internalize them. But to total unity. If so, the Torah is already bringing into the world a flood of good and blessing, a productive flood, not a destructive flood. Shall itabkut brucha barucha, clinging your spirit to God's spirit, the source of your spirit. Yichud nifla, tremendous unity. There's no unity like it. The words of the Torah, believe it or not, are not like the words of a telephone book or a dictionary or an encyclopedia. Those are things which are coming from people. The words of the Torah actually come from your Creator. And when you take them inside, you're uniting your Creator with you in your inside, and also you're immersing yourself in the ideas, the wisdom of your Creator. You're living within, so to speak, the wisdom of God. And even more, Shekol Mitziyotot, that your whole entire existence becomes completely negated to the Torah, something like it's going to be in the future. That in the future it's called Shabbat, it's called an eternal Shabbat. In the future it's going to be totally Shabbat. What does it mean, totally Shabbat? It means that there's not going to be any bad things. There won't be any bad. It'll only be doing good. Like the Rambam says in the end of his book, right at the end of the Maimonides book, the Oto Zman, in the time of the Moshiach, because that's one of the main things of Moshiach is that he's going to teach everyone. That's why what we're learning here is called the teachings of Moshiach. In that time, learning Torah will be in a way of Kamayim Liyam Mechasim. It'll be like water fills up the ocean. There's no water except for Torah. We can also add on that in Parshat Noach, it's especially the idea of doing tshuva in a happy way. Because now we are leaving the month of Tishrei. The Tishrei has a lot of holidays in it. It has Rosh Hashanah, it has Yom Kippur, it has holiday of Sukkot, Shmini Atzeret, Simchat Torah. And we don't say Tachanun, the whole entire, the whole, from Yom Kippur on. Tachanun is a supplication prayer where we're asking God to forgive us for. We don't say that most of this month. Shematchilin Lomer, we say on Mar Cheshvan, you're not used to saying Tachanun. You're not used to, how do you say, to request from God, please God, I've sinned. You don't say all those things in the month of Tishrei. Now we're saying it for the first time. Therefore, you should be happy in returning to God. What do you mean happy? That the whole entire month of Tishrei, we suppose that God has forgiven any bad mistakes that we made in our life. And so we don't have to request from God, please forgive me for all the bad things I've done. And now we do start. So it's like a brand new thing. It's a new thing we're doing. It's coming. We got used to already being in a state of purity and cleanliness and etc. So now when we say, God, forgive me, it's not forgiving me for any bad things, maybe a bad thought, a bad attitude. Especially, a special point is this coming Shabbat, Parshat Noach, this year. Now the Rebbe is talking about 1992, Tavshin Nun Beit. Okay, now the Rebbe is coming out with a really, very, very sort of, how do you say, happy statement. Shekivan Sheha'id, since the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe already announced, Nasi Terenu, he's the leader of our generation. Shekavar Siumu Kol Inyan Avoda. We have already finished all of the service of God necessary to bring Moshiach. Kolel Gam Sachzuch Kaftorim, including shining up the buttons. Now, what does it mean, shining up buttons? I don't know how it is in America. I don't know if they would, but in Russia, they used to make a parade. We made a parade, right? The army parade. The army parade, a big thing was the buttons. They had the uniform. The uniforms were, clean and was impressive and pressed. But also there were buttons. And the buttons, they sort of held everything together, but they were shiny buttons. Even the buttons were shiny. They would shine up the buttons so the buttons would shine and gleam. So that was like the last preparations before the parade, was shining up the buttons. So the Rebbe is saying, that we, our generation, the previous Rebbe said. Now, what does it mean, the previous Rebbe? Well, let's clarify this. The Chabad movement had 7 Rebbes, 7. The first one was the Rebbe that wrote the book we just finished reading from, Torah Or, called the Alter Rebbe, the old Rebbe. He wrote also the book, the Tanya, and he also wrote, a Shulchan Aruch, a book of law, explaining Jewish law. Okay, he was the first Rebbe of Chabad. After him, his son ruled. After that, his grandson. Then after his grandson's son, and then the next one was the son of the, till finally there were 7 Rebbes altogether. 7 Rebbes altogether. The previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, his name was Rebbe Yosef Yitzchak. He was the 6th Rebbe. He was the Rebbe, he was from 1920 until 1950. Basically, he was the Rebbe of Chabad. And he said, this was in the last 10 years of his life, was in America. He said that we finished all the work. The Jewish people have suffered enough. The Jewish people have served enough. The Jewish people have done everything necessary to bring Moshiach. We're ready for the parade. Even the buttons are all shined up. We're all ready. Amdu kulchem. The Kabul to receive the face of the Moshiach Tzidkenu. So, if you make a self inventory, so the conclusion should be a cheshbon tzedek, a correct inventory of yourself, an honest inventory. She'osim b'yamim elu, that we do in these days. He should take it from yad immediately, should come, the Geula mitit v'shlema should immediately come. The true redemption. Now, okay, this is a big point of Judaism that wants to remind the world that that's the reason the world was created. The idea was sort of hijacked, but nevertheless, the idea is still true. The world was created in order to be perfect. We just read this, right, about harmony, to be healthy, to be perfect. What's perfect? That everything in the world, everything in creation acts in a way that the Creator wants it to. Like you buy a car. Your car, everything, all the parts in the car, including the windows, the drive, the headlights, everything works according to the way the manufacturer's instructions. Well, the world is a big creation. So the idea is that the world should work, everything in the world and everyone should work according to the manufacturer's instructions. Now, God created the world with people, and every person has tremendous potential for good. And this potential for good is almost not being used at all. Especially now in our times, right? It's being quenched with fear, with the corona, with all this stuff, that people are afraid, they have lust, all these negative things are encouraged. But the idea of the future redemption is that all of the positive things will be encouraged. What are the positive things? That's what the Torah is given for in the 7 Noah commandments. And when that happens, and then everything is working properly, right? The world as it is now is like a person with a toothache, a headache, a footache, whatever. He can't function. He's only thinking about just getting rid of. The idea is supposed to be that the world becomes healthy, and then you can function, then you can bring out your talents. That's called the future redemption, Geula. We start to feel that we're creations and we feel the Creator. And it says the Rebbe is already ready. He says the world is ready for this. And that was the previous Rebbe said. And the previous Rebbe, he passed away in 1950, which that's what, 70 years ago. What? Well, Pratios Yoter and even more. Gam Keshiyada, even a person knows who he is, that he has things that he has to fix up. This is not any contradiction to the fact that what the previous Rebbe said, that everything, all the work has already been finished. And we're all prepared to receive the Moshiach and the future redemption. Now, you should know also that the Rebbe said many times that the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, he was Moshiach, and he even said more, that every leader of Chabad was the Moshiach of his generation. So obviously the Rebbe was including himself in this whole business. And the Maimonides has qualifications of what Moshiach is and what disqualifications are also. It says that if Moshiach has all these qualifications, which the Lubavitcher Rebbe certainly has, and what will disqualify him is if somebody murders him. Of course, the Rebbe was not murdered. Okay, but we haven't gotten the face of the Moshiach, the future redemption, because the service of, in general, klolos, of all the Jewish people, in the course of all the generations, there has to be time of exile in order to come to completion of the Geula, of this redemption, of revealing all the good potential in the world. That depends on our service of God, and the whole time of exile, that has completed. So what does it mean it's completed? It's already, the button's already shined up. That the service necessary to bring the redemption of all of the Jewish people in general has finished. But individual people still have free will, and they can still make mistakes. They can still have bad attitudes. People can still not believe in themselves. People can still be ignorant, right? That they demand education. Ein bir is so, says the Rebbe. If in general everything is finished, so what's going on? Ein bir, there's no explanation at all. Why is it taking so much time? Why is the redemption? Therefore, even if there are individuals that have not done what they're supposed to do, even if there are individuals that have not done what they're I'm sorry. Look, and there, even if there's missing in the service of some individuals in this time that delays the redemption for some reason, says the Rebbe, that I can't figure out. Harizeh inyan prati, this is only individual, that individual person, that certainly he has to fix it up and complete it. But this does not in any way minimize the fact that all of our deeds that we've done in the course of all these thousands of years, all the suffering and all the self-sacrifice the Jews have had, that all the Jews, we should all be ready for the future redemption. Kavan Shekin, since it's so also fixing up this individual problems that we might have in our individual life is much easier and with happiness when you know that immediately the future redemption is coming and it's complete, right? Let's say, for instance, your car stalls out, right? You're driving somewhere and your car stalls out. And you don't know why. And your mind is racing around, maybe one of the pistons is bad, maybe I haven't got any gas, maybe, I'm stuck in the middle of the desert. What's going to be, what's going to happen, right? So you don't know what's happening, right? And comes along a person with a car, the AAA they used to have in America, and he says, "What's the problem?" He says, "I don't know what the problem is." And the person said, "Well, your problem is very simple. You're turning the key the wrong way, right? You just have to turn the key the other way." He said, "Oh wow, I didn't know that. I didn't start the car." So the whole car is there. You just have to turn the key in the proper way, and that's your whole problem. And say, "Okay, well, I'll do it." I said, "No, you have to do it yourself. I haven't got time." Okay, so now I know that all I have to do is turn the key the proper way, and that's it. So let's say I try and it doesn't work, and I don't. But nevertheless, I know for sure that what's missing is something very, very small and very, very easy. The same thing the Rebbe wants to say over here. The future redemption is right at our doorstep. Everything has been fixed up. Something small has to be fixed up. Okay, but you have to know that the reason the whole entire redemption is not here, some sort of a small thing that's preventing it. It's not a big deal. You don't have to overhaul your whole motor or change the whole electrical system of the car. No, little thing I have to know is how to turn the key exactly in the right way, right? That's all you have to know. Or maybe one number is missing from the combination. So that's what the Rebbe is trying to say. Everything is all prepared. The fact that individuals are not ready, okay, that's a small detail. Or in another way, let's say it like this, we're going to finish over here. All the general people, Klal Bnei Israel, that the Jewish people are one body, they are like one human being with 248 limbs, 365, it says blood vessels. Whether spiritual or physical, the Jewish people are like one big person. That which a person is missing something is like a person has a small disease. He has a small, what is it, a toenail or something is ingrown or something. It's a very small thing. And by means of a very easy healing, you can heal it. Like it says, rapé rapé. It's like a person whose whole body is okay and his whole mind is all right. But let's take an example, right? Instead of a car, we'll take a person. He doesn't feel good. He goes to the doctor says, the reason is because you just have to take a little vitamin C. Oh, I thought my heart was bad, my lungs, my stomach, I had all sorts of imaginations. No, you're 100% okay. Just take a little bit of vitamin C, right? A little lemon or something. Shenitna reshut b'koach, because the doctors have been given permission to heal. So therefore, kolol miyuchad especially do it. So if so, what do we have to do? An individual person all he has to do is just return a little bit to the Creator. That little thing that he has to do, this could be all that's missing in order to bring a total healing, and this removes the disease even from the beginning, right? From the beginning, it's like he never had. Oh, yeah, I thought one doctor told me it was a problem with my stomach. You're telling me all I have to do is take a little bit of vitamin C. That's it. If this was said in the time of the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, that everything is already ready, how much more so that now there's already been tens of years, right? The Rebbe is saying this in 1992, so this is already 40 years after, even more than 40 years. If so, God has given us eyes to see, so how much more so? Alachas, how much more so now? Tafshin Nun Beit, 1992, and the first letters were, miracles will be seen in everything. It will be miracles in everything. Ba kol mikol kol. This is the numerical value of kabetz, gathering together. That all of the things are together. Okay, so what's now a person can look at this and say, 1 minute. The previous Rebbe said the redemption is supposed to come as we're already ready. 40 years after that, the Rebbe said, how much more so now the redemption is going to come? And any second, the whole world is going to be changed. But it didn't happen. So a person could say, listen, it didn't happen in the time of the previous Rebbe. It didn't happen by the Rebbe. So who says it's going to happen at all? Yes, you can say that. That's one way of looking at it. But that's a negative way. The Rebbe doesn't want us to look at it that way. The Rebbe wants us to say even more. That if it didn't happen by the time of the previous Rebbe, that was about 90 years ago, and if it didn't, 70 years ago, and if it didn't happen 70 years ago, and if it doesn't happen by the previous Rebbe, right? That was after that. That was 40 years after that. So how much more so? For sure, the future redemption has to happen any second now. Any second. The Chol Rosh, therefore, Be'ikar, Niflo, there's going to be big miracles of the Geula Mitit Shlema. That's Tafshin Nun Beit. Nun means Niflo. This year it's Tafshin Pei Gimel, so it's Plaot, same thing. Of Geula, of redemption. The true Niflo. Therefore, there should be this total change in the whole entire world, that all creation, like we say in the prayers of Rosh Hashanah, Yudea call Pa'ol Ki Ata Pa'alta, call Yitzor Asher Yatzarta, that every creation in the world will know that there's a creator, and they'll feel the creator, and they'll feel that the God of Israel, he's the creator of the world, and that the Torah is the direction of all for all mankind. That ends today's class. Thank you very much. I'm sorry for the confusion. I'm using a different computer. I'm in a different room, and I have all sorts of excuses, which do not alleviate the situation. But every day we did say Hayom Yom. So let's see how we can do this. 1 minute. 1 minute.